Hello. What are hardware effects? What are software effects? What's the difference? Should you care in your DJing? That's what we're talking about today. That's what I was messing with here. Yes, a second ago, I was messing with the software effects as it happens in this particular piece of DJ gear. But what's the difference? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, effects. It's clear what they are, right? I just demoed it. They're things like reverbs and flangers and echoes and filters, all those extra things that move a bit past the volume and the EQ that give you something to do in your DJing. But you might be buying gear, looking at the specs of gear, looking at reviews that we make places like this, and hearing us talking about hardware effects, and then thinking, well, hang on a second, I've got DJ software. My DJ software is absolutely packed with effects. I can see an effects panel in my DJ software. I know where to turn it off and on. I know how to control them. Why do I need extra effects on my hardware? And start to get confused, and that's completely normal. As a DJ school, we have taught thousands of DJs, many of whom ask exactly this question. So today in this live lesson, I'm going to go through that because we're live. I'm going to talk to you at the end about any questions you've got or how you use effects and which you prefer and why. So please do let me know. I've got the comments open here on the comment computer ready to chat to you at the end. But now we're going to run through the differences in this lesson through this. If you're watching the recording, do hang on to the end though, because it's always a lot of fun chatting with the audience. And you can still ask questions underneath. Me and the team will get to you, even if you're watching the recording on Facebook or YouTube. Hello to everyone on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch, where we are live today as ever. All right then, so we know what effects are. They're tools that change the sound in your DJ set in real time that you can play with on your gear. But what are hardware effects? Hardware effects are physical effects processors built into your DJ gear. So let's move away from this piece of DJ gear, which I'm going to come back to at the end for a good reason. But let's take the classic DJ mixer. This is a reloop version of the classic DJ mixer. You've seen this stuff in clubs, on boiler rooms, on YouTube, etc. You've maybe even played on this kind of stuff. It's a classic DJ mixer. This is designed to have anything plugged into the back of it. Record decks, turntables are record decks, CDs, like literally playing CDs, samplers, and of course digital gear as well. Whatever you want to plug into this, you can plug into it. And then you plug your headphones and speakers in and you're off. And this has got effects. These are the effects. These are the effects with a big screen at the top of it to let you control them. So this is a piece of equipment, a DJ mixer, that has got hardware effects built in. It's got physical effects with knobs and buttons and screens that let you control everything about them. They are hardware effects. There's no laptop nearby, there's no software, there's no computer nearby. They're built into a piece of hardware. So the DJ mixer is the classic place to find these. DJs often like to plug in things like guitar effects pedals into the effects inputs and outputs on DJ mixers. Again, they're another version of effects, of hardware effects. Things like Chaos. Remember the Chaos pads? They still make those things. Pioneer DJ has got effects, standalone units. You sometimes see them at the back of the DJ gear. You have the DJ gear set up here and at the back there's an effects unit. Pioneer DJ make them. These things are out there. These things are all united by one thing. They're controlled by knobs and buttons on that piece of hardware that are dedicated to those effects, and that's it. That's what you get. That's what they do. They are what they are. So that makes them very different from software effects. So let's talk about software effects. They are built into your DJ software. This is a piece of DJ software. This is Serato. I can open and close this effects panel here, and I can see a set of effects here that I can play with. Now, depending on various things, you'll see different things here, depending upon the effects that are available to you in your software, the kind of hardware you've got and so on. But ultimately, you can see all these effects here. Look how many effects I've got here that I can choose from. I can assign different effects to every one of these effects units and I can set them differently. But I'm using the mouse and keyboard to do that. I'm not using any hardware to do that. I could DJ on Serato or any DJ software with my headphones on, my laptop, sat on a plane, in my hotel room, messing around with my heart's content with all those effects. They are built into the piece of software that you're DJing with. They're nothing to do with the DJ hardware at all. The hardware may have some controls on, as I was doing at the beginning of this video, that let you control those effects, but those effects are not built into that piece of hardware. There is no electronics in that hardware or any hardware that controls software effects, generally DJ controllers, that lets you do that. So if you've got a entry-level DJ controller, a basic DJ controller, this is a Alpha Theta DDJ Flex 4, Pioneer DJ actually, it's confusing. This has got effects. There's effects down here, there's effects that can be controlled here. But this is just a glorified keyboard. It's just a plastic box with a couple of bits of audio circuitry in it, and it makes it more fun to DJ with than using the mouse and keyboard or a real keyboard or whatever. So this is nothing more than that. There's no effects circuitry built in here. It's very different from the DJ mixer I just showed you, right? Because everything this controls is on the piece of software that you're using to basically be the brain of that plastic box. The plastic box is simply the buttons and knobs that you're turning in order to do that. So software effects can only process what's going on in the software. They're built into the software. So it's fine if you're playing from your hard drive, you're playing with a DJ controller, but apart from Traktor is actually an exception to this rule in certain circumstances. Anything that you've got plugged into your DJ gear that isn't software based, that isn't MP3s coming from your hard drive, it can't, the effects don't work on it, because if I plug into a piece of DJ gear, a turntable, the software effects on a laptop nearby ain't gonna work, right? So software effects only process the audio playing through the DJ gear. And so that's the difference. They don't have to sound any different. They often do. The advantages really depend upon what you want. So with hardware effects, you get complete control over everything. You know, in order to control the effect, they need to give you knobs, buttons, screens, everything you need. So there's nothing hidden from you. There's nothing you can't do on hardware effects using the hardware. I mean, it stands to reason. What's the point of building something no one can control? So every control you need is on there. If you have to plug in turntables and external sources, this is a Rane One Mk2. I'm going to come back and talk about this a bit more in a minute, but around the back here, I can plug in turntables and CDs. So although this is a controller, and although this is controlling the Serato software, you can see here, when I go like this, the Serato software moves. So this is a DJ controller. This doesn't work if you unplug the DJ software from it and the laptop from it. However, you can also plug stuff in that isn't DJ gear, as in that isn't digital gear, just like normal turntables or whatever. The effects, if they are software, will not control that. And so hardware effects will give you that control that you don't get in software. Also, hardware effects will give you something different. It's why DJs do plug in guitar pedals and that kind of thing to their standard systems. They sometimes prefer to use hardware effects than the ones built into the software, because everyone's heard the ones in the software, whereas there might be a really nice tone or a sound on some guitar pedals or whatever that they found that they want to use. It's another reason that people prefer that. So the advantages of hardware effects, again, you can run anything through them. You get a little bit of kind of your own unique sound coming through them, because they are different to what everyone else has got. But they take up room, they cost money, and they make your setup more complicated. So software effects, as we've seen, there's loads of them. Serato's got, I don't know, 30 we looked at there. Some software's got even more than that. You can sometimes plug in more, like have limitless effects going on in your DJ software. So again, I was going through here, wasn't I? Just pulling down and showing you all the different effects that you've got here in software. You don't get this in hardware. You get what you get on hardware effects, and that is it. But the problem with this is that quite often the DJ gear doesn't let you control what you see on the screen there. So in the old days, and by the old days I mean the beginning days of digital DJing, generally the software, they try to make the controls on the hardware completely copy what was going on the software. One brand that still does this, by the way, is Traktor. So this is a modern Traktor controller. So this is the effects unit here. You've got 4 buttons and 4 knobs. You've got another one here, 4 buttons and 4 knobs. You've got another one here. This pretty much maps exactly to what the software can do. So even though these are software effects and this is designed to control that software, you're not losing anything because you've got full control over the software effect, over the effects built into the software on the laptop. That's unusual. Most software effects in DJ gear nowadays give you vastly less control. Let's go back to this one we were looking at a second ago, the Pioneer DJ DDJ Flex 4. Now this controls all kinds of DJ software, which has got some amazing effects in. The effects control on here is very limited. You get this and you get this, which is nowhere near what I just showed you on that other controller, never mind what most of the software can do. So with software effects, especially with cheaper hardware, you're accepting less control. You have to be comfortable with having less control over them because of the lack of knobs and buttons on the hardware. They've gone for immediacy, like ease of use, over full control. And as I say, that's a trend that's been happening in recent years. That said, sometimes the manufacturers of the hardware get together with the manufacturers of the software and come up with things that you can't get on standard hardware effects. Like, for instance, they'll use the pads to give you special effects that you can't get anywhere else. So there is a plus side to that. But generally, hardware prefers simplicity over comprehensive control. If you're an effects geek, then that's not going to wash with you. You're going to prefer hardware effects that let you have more control. Now, I said we're going to come back to this piece of gear here, and we're going to do this now because this piece of gear is really something that confuses people, but also it is the best of both worlds, and it's the hybrid modern expensive DJ gear. This is a Rane One Mk2. This is an expensive unit. Now, one of the big changes between this and the Rane One Mk1, another wonderful controller, this is a controller for Serato software. This only works when you have this software plugged in. You need your laptop with you, but I've already shown you around the back, you can plug in decks, record decks, anything you want, samplers, whatever, stuff that's nothing to do with your computer. So this is a bit more than just a basic box that lets you control the stuff on the software. Already we can see that. You can plug more into it to start with. But this area here, in the middle of it, is not just for controlling the software effects. Now, I said to you earlier, I'm controlling the software effects, and I was. That's because I've got the software effects set here. So now the effects that are playing on this are... they're playing in the software. I'll put the software on and look at the middle left of the software. You'll see the blue buttons coming on and off as I'm going like this and selecting different effects. And that's because they are the software effects. But if I tap this button here, now I'm into the hardware effects. So now this is very different. Now anything I do here isn't going to affect what you see on the screen at all, because these effects are built into this unit. I have a nice little screen here that tells me what's going on the effects. I've got a joystick that lets me control things about the effects, loads and loads of things about the effects. Parameters, a high pass filter cut. I can change the BPM of the effects really easily here. And I can do things, selecting effects here that I haven't got on other hardware, on other software, on the software it's connected to. So here I've got, actually there's 29 in this that are taken straight from one of their mixers. It gives you a lot more control. I can also select different effects for these and stuff. So this gives me something that I don't get on the software. But if I want the software effects, I can switch back to them instantly by going like that. It's kind of the best of both worlds, because these software effects are going to be limited in some ways, but useful in other ways. These effects here, for instance, if I'm using the stuff that's plugged in here and so on, are going to be more flexible, and they're also going to be something that I can tweak a lot more than I can with the controls given to me for the software effects. So the difference really then is quite profound in how they work. Well, one of them is built into hardware, one of them is just pretty much infinitely flexible because it's just software. But software effects are limited both in what you can control them, what you can apply them to, and the controls you're given on the hardware to use them. Does any of this matter? Right? This is once we've explained this to our students, people often say, "Well, look, I kind of get it, but does it matter?" The truth is, it doesn't really matter as long as you know which ones you're using and the limitations of them. Because if you're trying to get a turntable you've plugged in around the back of your unit working and you don't know why, and you don't know the difference between hardware and software effects, well, that could be the reason. If you buy a unit like this thinking, oh, it's got 29 hardware effects, I really want those, when actually the effects built into the software are going to be just fine for you, well, you spent money on something that you could have spent on something else, right? If you're never going to plug anything in around the back, that might sway your opinion away from the hardware effects. If you want complete control, hardware effects. If you don't really care about complete control, probably software effects are better for you. But the real lesson is know the difference so that when you're buying gear and you see these things mentioned, you can make an informed choice. Ultimately, DJs tend to use a small number of effects most of the time. Reverb, echo, filter. That basically covers it. Maybe a bit of flanger. That's about it for most DJs. So if you've got those, I wouldn't worry too much about moving past that until you're ready to start doing some of those things we talked about, really getting dug into the effects, getting lots and lots of different things plugged into your gear that maybe the software can't handle and so on. Now, if you want a summary of all of this, our book, Rock the Dance Floor, has got a chapter in all about it, not only about effects, it's from page 169 onwards. It's called Adding EQs, Filters and Effects. And I go through here everything you need to know about all these different types. I also give you a couple of transitions that you can use using basic effects as well. So this is a great place to get started if you're not used to using effects at all in your DJing. But also, I don't want you to buy the book. I mean, you can buy the book, you get the book on Amazon, get it in your local bookstore, you can get it on Kindle, etc., etc. However, if you go to Digital DJ Tips and click on the join button at the top, then you can put your email address in here and I will give you a copy of the book just as a hello and thank you for joining our list. Our list is a great place to be if you're trying to learn DJing. So head over to Digital DJ Tips to do that. If you want to learn to mix with effects more than the couple of transitions that I go through there, again, we can help you. If you're new to DJing, this is the course you want. You'll find it on the Digital DJ Tips website homepage. But if you're not new to DJing and you just want lots and lots of cool things you can do with effects, take a look at our mixing courses and find something in there that takes your fancy. All of these make vast use of the effects available to you, whether you've got hardware or software effects in your particular DJ gear. All right, like as ever, I want to talk to you guys and girls about all of this. That's the fun bit. So I'm going to pull the laptop in now, switch over to the comments and see what I can help you with and see what you are sharing with us around this big topic. It is a big topic, isn't it? Of effects. Hello regulars, Kesha, DJ Belter, Java Man, Mike, Paul, Stuart. First time catching a live, says Stuart. COVID does have some benefits. I'm off sick. Well, I hope you get better soon. But thank you for joining us there, Stuart. Hello, Cal Brown. Hello to Jack and everyone else. I haven't got time to say hello to all the regulars, but I see you. This is a comment from Nenad, who says, where does the Alpha Theta DDJ Flex 10 stand in this? Because here is a control, it's a controller, but it's got built-in effects. Now I'm thinking about the Flex 10 now. I'm not so sure. I can't remember whether they're hardware effects. I think it's just got very good control over the software effects. I'm not sure, to be honest. No, I just can't remember. It's a few months since I've looked at the Flex 4. Someone in the comments will help us out there. This is over on, where are you? You are over on YouTube. So someone maybe in the YouTube comments can help Nenad there. The Tractor effects, it says Mixmaster G. Hello, Mixmaster G. Are still the best in the industry. I agree with you. Tractor effects are fantastic. And as I say, I think they're the only ones that generally you can route anything from your DJ controller through. Certainly with the more high-end Tractor controllers, that's always been possible. Rane Performer for the win, says Christopher. I wish they had a smooth echo like the Rev 7, says Mac. That's the thing with a lot of the hardware effects. You get what you get and you get jealous of what other people have got. Generally, there's a way of concocting something in software effects that sounds like hardware effects you might have heard somewhere else, but not always true. That Rane 1 is a lovely piece of kit, says Cal Brown. It is lovely, so it divides people, this white finish, but I like it. We're in the middle of making the training tutorial and video manual for this at the moment, which is why I have it out and why I'm featuring it in today's lesson. Right, okay, so let's grab another couple of comments here. I Am Preacher Man has quite an old controller, the Denon MC7000. Says the effects were probably the biggest weakness on it. I definitely enjoy the hardware effects of the XDJ AZ. That's what I've got behind me here. So we haven't actually talked about this kind of equipment. This kind of equipment, which is another example actually, quite an interesting example to show you, would be this one here. So this is the Mix Stream Pro Go. This, the XDJ AZ, the XDJ RX3, etc., are another type of DJ device called the standalone DJ unit. These don't have any need for a laptop to be plugged in, so therefore they have effects. Now the effects here are very simple. I think it's got a flanger, an echo, a delay and a phaser, and that's it, with very limited control over them. But it's built in. That is a good example of built-in hardware effects. However, this gear can also be used with software because it's still got the USB socket around the back, and most gear like this can be used with software. But your mileage will vary. This is going to give you very, very, very limited control over any software because it hasn't got the knobs and buttons on it. Whereas something like this, the XDJ AZ, has got so much here, But a lot of this is hardware. A lot of this won't work with your software. So even if you plug this into software, you're still going to end up using the hardware effects just out of convenience. So look, it isn't a real question of which is better and which is worse. It's just what is on your gear and do you like it? Is it right for you? Speaking of right for you, you are sharing your favorite effects, and I will move on then to some more effects stuff from people who actually aren't quite so into it. Harmonic Boom on Twitch says effects are fluff. You can be a great DJ and never use them all. You can be a great DJ and never use any of them, is the truth. But it doesn't mean that they are not a good thing. So apparently the Flex 10 does have hardware effects. You can use the mixer standalone. Of course you can. Thank you, Norberg Ring Biker. Speed freak. I love it. Yeah, thanks for putting me right there. My addled brain does forget these things sometimes. Right, with the Rane One, and indeed with the Performer, you can only use one effect at a time from the main hardware effects buttons. But with Serato, you can overlay effects. Both are great. That's a really good point, actually. Thank you for making it. So in Serato, if you take a look here, you'll see that there are 3 effects here, and they can be put one after the other. So you've got more than one effect playing at the same time. So thank you for sharing that. And as you say, rightfully, you can only choose one effect at a time on here when you're using the hardware effects. Thank you for pointing that out. Effects can be very useful in transitions, says Harmonic Boom. Definitely the old echo out or reverb out are fantastic ways of making transitions a little bit easier when they are challenging. Also, they can be great on vocals, the echo and reverb effects, especially if you've got quite a dry a cappella and you want to just make it sound a bit more alive when you're mixing with it. The mix stream that you just held up is very simple, but it is worth the money, says Conrad. I have it and I love it. I can mix in the garden or in the kitchen or even in the kindergarten. So there we go. Look, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, sharing your comments and everything today. Remember, go grab your copy of the book, digitaldjtips.com, click the pink button at the top. I'd give you this for free, just so you can read that chapter that tells you all about what we talked about here. But more importantly, it's got the way we teach DJing in it, and it will help you to become a better DJ if you're new to all of this. And do check out our courses on the site when you're ready to learn more. Hope you've enjoyed it. From me, Phil, in the studio, talking effects. Get good, get out there, make the moments, and whatever effects you use, have a great day. Till next time, bye-bye.